a few minutes and then I'm gonna get started. Some of y'all have been asking for this, so I'm going to give it to you today. And hopefully this will make everyone extremely excited, because I've been telling y'all that I'm going to do a class with the sun and moon clock where I'm talking about it, and I'm going to be breaking down a bit more about that today. So come on in, come on in. It's Feminine Friday, so come on in. We're going to talk about the truth you didn't know and the things that they were hiding from you. This half shirt ain't doing what I needed to do. I mean, this off the shoulder shirt. It's annoying me. Come on in, come on in. We're talking about how they called you lazy so you never noticed that you were being harvested. This is the story, the true story of how society has been siphoning the energy of women for centuries. And we're going to talk really into it today. And it happens because women don't really understand their design and their nature. And because you don't understand your design and your nature, you begin to work against your design. So it's something that's extremely vital and extremely important for women to pay attention to. Today's topic we're talking about is they called you lazy so you never noticed that you were being harvested, okay? So they didn't want you to know that they were taking your energy. They didn't want you to know that they have been playing on your top. And I'm talking about society, I'm talking about the corporate systems, I'm talking about all these things that you thought, or some of you may feel that should have your back or should have your best interest at heart, when in reality is they don't, because they don't care. They only care about their bottom line, okay? For those who do not know who I am, my name is L. Antoinette. I am a energetics and identity mentor, and what I do specifically is I support my amazing clients who are visionary women. I support them specifically in dissolving invisible ceilings so that they can embody their emotional and energetic authority. This way their wealth, their relationships, and their leadership looks like or aligns with their authentic design, okay? It reflects their design. A lot of reasons, or a lot of the reason why women are exhausted is because they're working against themselves and they have these invisible ceilings or these blocks that they feel like they have, when in reality you don't really have these blocks. So they feel like they have these things when it's not true. Society does a lot of lying to us and due to the programming, we kind of are under a spell. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, because the whole women wanting to be like men or do things like men, like, it's been a big trap. And I'm just going to tell you what society has been doing for a while, if you don't know. So I'm going to put you on game. So this is going to be a pretty informative and pretty kind of powerful live. So share this with another amazing woman who is a leader, who basically needs to get herself together, because the space that we in now, y'all, if y'all don't know how to position yourself, you're not going to win and you're not going to do well. And women should always do well. Women should always do well, because women are literally walking wealth. And if you don't feel like walking wealth, it's because you don't understand your value. And another reason why you need to stay longer, because that's crazy. You not knowing your value is insane. Where's my other water? I hope I got the other one in here too. Okay? You not knowing your value is absolutely insane. Y'all. Ooh, I was hoping not to drop nothing. I dropped my iPad. There we go. I need to make sure I have my water ready, because I already know. All right, y'all. They've been calling women lazy. Like, and they have, it's so bad. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday when it comes down to like moms who have new sons, have daughters. You have to be very, very careful and very cautious, because children do what we do. They don't do what we say. So if you are a mom and you have a son, for example, and you are extremely exhausted, you do not practice self-care, and you make sure that your child does not feel any of the things that you are experiencing, so you kind of put them in a bubble. You make sure they have everything they need, yada, yada, yada. This said son, grows up and he goes out here and he wants to date. Okay, so he goes out here and he wants to date, and he starts to date women. Of course, initially, what do? We date people like our parents. So he's looking for someone that has the traits and the qualities of his mother. So he's looking for someone who can get things done despite, yada 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 yada. So he's looking for a very, very strong woman in his space because that's what he saw growing up. It's not that he's trying to get over, is that's what he saw growing up. He saw a woman that basically made it happen. Okay. The key thing is with that is that a lot of women who are in scenarios where they just have to make it happen, it's by choice. So if they had a decision, if they had a choice, they would most definitely desire some help. But there is one key aspect that a lot of women are missing, and is kind of positioning them to exhaust themselves to oblivion, and providing this example of a person who just always gets it done, always has it all together, this unrealistic image that's not real, because behind that is a woman who has anxiety. Behind that is a woman that's trying to figure out what's going to happen. Behind that is a woman who is praying her life away because she's trying to figure out how she can get these things done. Okay? Women have to own the duality of their reality. You can't just portray yourself in this one space as if you have it all together, everything is just doing this, you have no issues, nothing is happening. You have to find a way to show how you are holistically taking care of yourself, or you're going to have your daughters mimic your behavior and your sons looking for women who mimic your behavior. And it's just not healthy for a person to be exhausting themselves out to oblivion. But why do we exhaust ourselves out to oblivion? Why do we do that? Because we don't understand the science of ourselves. Nobody taught us about our two clocks while using our two clocks. Today I'm going to talk about those clocks. Okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Again, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. I am an energetics and identity mentor. And what I do specifically is that I mentor visionary women to dissolve invisible ceilings. There's no such thing as a money block. There's no such thing as a love block. There's no such thing as a plateau, even when it comes down to you getting your body where you need to be. Women who come to work with me get results in the area of making more money, becoming healthier, and attracting better community and partnership. So all of these things that you feel like are in your way are absolutely not in your way. I love you. So I help them dissolve those things so that they can embody energetic and emotional authority. And this way their leadership, their relationships, and their wealth actually reflect their authentic design. The reason why a lot of women are exhausted, like I said earlier, is because their wealth, their relationships, and their leadership does not reflect their authentic design. It reflects the design of someone else that they have been trained to be. See, some of us have been trained to be so high achieving that we leave ourselves on the back burner. And so we let the mask of high achievement smoke us out, or choke us out, or smother us, because we have made that our identity. And when we make a mistake, when things happen, we feel like failures, we crush, we run, we stand behind closed doors. But all of this can be avoided if you just understood the dynamics of how you work. Thank you so much, love, for these gifts. So we're going to get into it today because society keep calling you lazy. They've been calling you lazy as a woman. If you don't get out here and you're not getting these things done, they're calling you lazy. So you never pay attention to the fact that they have been harvesting your energy for a very long time. Society has been harvesting the energy of women for centuries. And women need to wake up. You need to wake up right now. Because if you don't wake up currently, by next year, you are positioning yourself to become prey. Because they are not taking their foot off your neck. This stuff is not going to get any easier. So you need to get into a space of clarity. You need to be in alignment so that you know how to move. Okay? Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. So let's go ahead and get into it. You weren't built to be what society deems as consistent. You're creatures of habit, so you're consistent anyway. But you weren't built to be consistent by societal standards. You were literally, as a woman, you were built to be consecrated. And this is what a lot of women don't understand. But because a world couldn't control consecrated women, they had to, how can I say this? They had to recondition us into predictable performers. So we would all be palatable We would all be easy. We would all be docile. We would all be quiet. We would become excellent performers, excellent actors. But as you see, when you perform and you act and you put on this show for so long, after a while you have a breakdown because you cannot keep wearing this mask for a long period of time. So they told you things like, oh, discipline is divine. Push yourself, push yourself. They tell you things like, oh, your emotions are just distractions. They tell you things like, oh, yes, consistency is the key and what it is that you really, really need to do. But what if I told you that the version of you that you're actually trying to become is actually the furthest thing from your original design? Thank you, my love, for these gifts. I'm going to say that one more time. What if I told you the version of you that you are chasing and trying to become literally is actually the furthest thing away from your original design? Do you understand that you are beautifully and uniquely made and wonderfully made? That means that you have a uniqueness to you that other people don't possess. So trying to mimic or be like someone else is literally a slap in the creator's face. Because how dare you not take full ownership of the beauty that is you, because there is not another you. So failure in seeing that will push you into trying to be like someone else, trying to come online to find tactics and tips on how to become this type of woman when you're really not that type of woman. The lover girl doesn't need to transform into the cold girl. The lover girl needs to establish boundaries on where her love needs to be poured into and where the plug needs to be pulled. Okay? You don't alter who you are because of external stimuli. If you change after somebody broke your heart and you decided that you wanted to be completely different with every man that comes your way, you're allowing external stimuli to change your internal reality, and you have now made that person your God. Because how is it that you came here to this earth, created by one creator, and you're going to allow a creation to come into your space and manipulate you into changing your form? When you operating in the fullness of your form is how you attract the life that you want, the type of money you want to make, the type of relationships you want to be in, the type of community you want. But you want to alter yourself because you had piss poor boundaries and you allowed somebody in your space because you didn't understand your value and they dogged walk all over that space. And now you want to change your internal. You have made that person your God. You have made them so powerful that they can alter you. That's crazy work. They didn't even have to put a spell on you. You did it to yourself. That's insanity. See, this is what happens though when you don't really know yourself. And even when it comes down to women in the mind frame, that body that you've been trying to fix, she's not broken. Some of you have hit like a weight plateau. Like a lot of you know I used to be 100 pounds heavier. Some of you hit a weight plateau, right? So I recently hit a weight plateau. I already know how to pivot and what I need to do to maneuver to lose more weight or whatever, right? But one of the key things that a lot of women don't realize is because you are not in sync with both of your clocks, you never know what time it is with you. This is why you can't control your emotional responses. This is why you seem to be all over the place. This is why you feed into the foolishness that you get moody before your cycle. Is because you don't know what time it is with you because you are not in sync with your sun nor your moon clock. You don't even know what that is. But you know who does know what that is? Society. Society knows what that is. Why do you think people are always like, if you want to get something done, hire women? You don't think that they've studied the science of women? You don't think they've studied how women multiply? You don't think they know that women get energy by the things that they do in the earth? You don't think these companies and corporations in society knows that? Why else do y'all think that they took Sarah Barton? Y'all think it was just because of that tail? Baby, they've been studying us for centuries. And when we don't agree with them, they call us everything. They accuse us of certain things. When you don't fall up under the thumb of the foolishness and you understand your birthright and you understand who you are, they start calling you names. See, this is how some women got burned at the stake that were not witches, but they were calling them witches because they could not control them. See, you got to really get some clarity on some things and really do the research and really get some understanding about how society has consistently played on your top. There are real witches, and witchcraft is a real thing. But in those days, in certain scenarios, those women were not witches. Those women just weren't obedient. Those women just didn't listen. Those women knew how to do things and they were trying to figure out. Those women listened to the voice within them, the gift that was given to them, and they couldn't figure out how they knew things, and so they labeled them because they couldn't control it. Society has always known the power that's within women. So because you are mistimed, because you don't understand your clocks, I need you to understand that you're not inconsistent. You're a very consistent creature because we're creatures of habit. Okay? You're just obeying a rhythm that was never considering how sacred you are, how sacred you are. This is why society will have you do all these crazy things by working on a clock schedule that's masculine, knowing that it's going to impact your feminine clocks. They know this already. They do it anyway. For example, you've been feeling foggy for weeks or every few weeks. Let's say you launch and then you crash, you rest, but you feel guilty. You push, but then you feel a bit disconnected. You lead, but you secretly really resent your schedule. You really, really are tired of that. Instead of asking why you have these responses and why your body feels like this, you punish yourself with more planning. You caffeinate your grief. You mask your bleed. And when I say mask your bleed, I'm talking about hi Lovey. When I say masking your bleed, I'm speaking about you trying to pacify through your pain and still work and still do these things and push through. I got to get this done. Do you understand when you work extremely hard or even work out extremely hard during your cycle, you are throwing yourself out of balance? There are 4 phases in your menstrual cycle. When you don't do what you need to do in the menstrual phase by resting properly, you throw everything else out of balance. See, a lot of that cramping, a lot of those other things would not even be happening if you didn't have so much cold energy in your body. You got so much cold energy in your body. That's what a cramp is. Why do you think that they tell you to get a heating pad? Because warmth and heat is going to move the stuck, stubborn energy that keeps contracting in one space. Okay? So these are the things that we have to start paying attention to. So when I say you mask your bleed, you're trying to cover it up, you're trying to push through and do this and do that. You try to show up in a cycle that your body never really agreed to. You don't need another planner to become productive. You need a new routine. You need a biological exorcism. I don't even mean no harm when I say that, but that's just the truth. Because you've been programmed to work through your design and you're wondering why a lot of us are having womb issues. And this is coming from someone who had womb issues for 20 years. I had womb issues for 20 years. I wasted 20 years because I didn't understand my body and my 2 clocks. Once I got an understanding, the things that they said that I would have for life, I don't have anymore, which is crazy. So you really have to pay attention to yourself. These are the things that you were made to believe. You're only powerful when you're productive. Your cycle is a burden. That's why we see it. You understand? We dread coming on our cycle when you're not supposed to dread that. You're not supposed to dread that. When you go back and even look at scripture, everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. So if you go back even in scripture and pay attention to when women were on their cycles, they were in solitude because those women were physically releasing the things that did not belong. They were there to spiritually release the things that didn't belong, mentally release the things that didn't belong, emotionally release the things that didn't belong. And nobody else needed to be in that space. And they had that time to be able to rest and be able to do so. And while they are releasing, what does that mean and what does that do? That opens the portal to receive. So they're receiving downloads from the Creator on different things, because in the next phase, we have to get out here and start actually initiating some things. And so the things are slowly coming to you. But see, a lot of you can't even get your downloads because you're not releasing. You only bleeding. And then you pacifying the bleed by taking pills, pushing through it. You know, there's no space for you to even receive. And just imagine if you're not releasing every single month, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, imagine what you are carrying month to month to month to month to month to month to month. And then when you go to the doctor and they tell you that you have something that's hard and stuck, that's been growing for a long period of time in that space, you are wondering why. These things of the womb are not just physical. They are spiritual manifestations of things that we are not dealing with. You have got to understand that your womb is a wealth creation station, and the pathway to your womb is a portal. And if you understood that, you be very careful who you allow to walk down your hallway. These are the things that you have to start considering and you have to start thinking about. Society tells you your fatigue is a failure, that your rhythm, as a woman is an inconvenience. Let me tell you what your body been trying to say all this time, because you need to know. Because they're not going to tell you. They're going to keep using your energy so they can tax on your soul to meet their goals. How long you going to keep letting them do that? You run on 2 clocks. You run on a sun clock, which is a circadian rhythm clock. It is a daily hormonal flow. Okay? And you also have a moon clock. See, men only have a sun clock. Men don't have a moon clock. This is why you can't be like a man, work like a man, hustle like a man. Like, why would you want to do that? Do that if you want to. You're just going to ruin your body. You're going to ruin your body. You're going to ruin your beauty. And you're going to cut your time down. But do whatever you want. It's your world. You have a sun clock, the circadian rhythm clock, which is a daily hormonal flow. And you have a moon clock, which is your 28 to 35 day menstrual rhythm. You need to be in sync with both of those clocks so you always know what time it is. See, if you always know what time it is, you will always move in divine timing. A lot of you don't move in divine timing because you never know what time it is with yourself. You don't even check in with yourself, mentally or emotionally, let alone being in tune with your clocks. Somebody can call you on the phone and ask you for a favor, and before you know it, yes! You ain't even check in with yourself to see if you have the capacity, the capability, or anything to even get this stuff done. But it's just a yes because this person called you. When is the last time you assessed yourself to see if you had what you needed instead of trying to give to somebody else? See, this is why y'all not cheerful givers. Because what you're finding out is when you give from fumes, you get nothing in return. And then you want to get upset when you don't get in return, and when other people don't want to run themselves on fumes. You have got to wake up. Your sun clock, circadian rhythm clock, daily hormonal flow. Your moon clock, 28 to 35 day menstrual rhythm. Here's what they knew. And when I say they, I'm talking about the powers that be. I'm talking about how it talks about in Ephesians. It talks about, the principalities and the darkness that we're dealing with. See, you have to understand and know your adversary. Some of y'all are too fearful to sit and really dissect scripture so you can really understand your adversary. Your adversary plays all kind of games on your mind that can wreak havoc on your body, specifically your womb. See, when the enemy knows that a woman has a mental block or has a block in a space of creativity, whether her womb is not flowing, when that's known, the enemy prides himself on that, because guess what? When you can't create as a woman, it makes you feel like what? Less of a woman, doesn't it? See, it doesn't make you feel like a whole woman when you feel like there's a disconnection in your womb. And when you don't feel like a whole woman, you start moving and making decisions like half of a woman. See, and this is where you get in a state and you start settling. And you start making decisions from a peasant mindset instead of the queen mindset that you were created in according to Genesis. Because you were created in the likeness and in the character of the one who created everything, who makes you a queen. So for you not to understand your position, you are operating like a peasant because you're operating as half as a woman. So what you have to know and understand is that what is happening, the war on women's wombs, is by design. You're not dealing with people, baby. You're dealing with principalities that don't want you to create, that want you to be stagnant, that want you to be stuck. And it's a scientific fact, when you are stagnant and you are sedentary, you eventually get what? Sick. And what happens when you get sick in a society that thrives off you being sick? They supply you with symptom pacifiers because they're never going to give you the solution because you'll never stop coming to them. So they need you to continue to be sick. This is why it tells you in scripture that your body is a temple. This is why it tells you in scripture to love your neighbor as you love yourself, meaning that you should be top priority. Self-preservation should be sitting at the top. The fact that you can't stick to a boundary is insane to me. Sane to me. These are the things that we have to pay attention to. We have been taught that our physical is evil and should be disregarded instead of sacred. Absolutely. Absolutely, we have. We have most definitely been taught that. And we need to wake up. Because these people and this society has been siphoning our energy for centuries. And it's because we do not know. Let me tell you what else. Like I said, let me put you on game to what they knew, but they never taught you. Let's just say a corporation hires about 200 women, right? This is what they know. They know that when women are ovulating, they're magnetic, they're brilliant, and they're clear. So if I have 200 women working here and I have 50 that are on their cycle around the same time, I at least have another, if it's 50 on their cycle, crossover, there's probably another 50 to 75 that's in ovulation. That's going to be brilliant, going to be clear, going to be able to knock out double the type of work that we need to be done. So we need to hire more women. See, business is a numbers game, baby. It's always a numbers game. It's a problem solving scenario, and it's a numbers game. And so the more women they have, the more chance they have of women ovulating. They're going to be magnetic, they're going to be brilliant, they're going to be clear. Let's talk about the women when they get in this space of luteal. They're going to be focused, they're going to be fire, they're going to be completion. These are the women that are going to be focused on the details. See, this is why they hire so many women. This is why they hire so many women, because this is what they know that you don't know. Because you don't know yourself. What else they know is that when you're on your cycle and when you're in menstrual, you're in an area of rest and surrender and revelation. So they can still pull from you, even in your weakness. The last thing that they know is the follicular phase. They're very clear that this is where you have clean ideas. They'll even schedule certain things or even ask you certain questions around specific times because they know that you're going to have the ideas. They know that you're going to be clear. They know this. They know this is the beginning where they can kind of butter you up and kind of they know exactly what they're doing. This is why they hire women to siphon your energy, because you are not in tune with self enough to know that you have creative and witty inventions in your very being, and that you actually could multiply way more money than allowing this corporation to tax on your soul to meet their goals. But because you don't know your value and they bought you into a system of you have to work here and work hard and do this and do that for you to be able to see any form of greatness or to be able to take care of yourself, you bought into that gimmick. Because you bought so heavy into that gimmick, they siphon your power. And they use it and they exhaust you. And after 30 years, they give you a pin because they never cared about you anyway. You were just a number, just another woman. Siphoning that energy right on up. Sucking the life out of you, beloved. Y'all want these people to care about you? Please. Yeah, this is who I am, drawn to learn more about. Sadly, unfortunately, it's outside of problem. No, no, no. No need to feel sad. It's just what it is. We just need to come in tune with understanding ourselves. Society has known these things for years. So let me put you on game, but instead of like teaching us what we needed to know, instead of teaching you what I like to call the power windows, because that's what I like to call the power windows. Your cycle is powerful. Your phases are powerful. Okay? It's literally power windows if you know how to use them right. And I've taught my clients how to use them properly. They've made more money because they know when to go out and connect with people and make deals. They know when to focus. They've been able to streamline their programs because they understand the aspect of their cycle, the phase where they need to be more detailed. They understand that there's a phase in their cycle that they can do so much work that they don't have to necessarily work for 2 weeks if they don't want to. It's because you don't understand yourself that you tire yourself out. So let me tell you, instead of teaching the power windows to us like they should have, they built 9 to 5 models around testosterone. For my sisters in here who are struggling with insulin resistance, what are they telling you? Are they telling you you have too much testosterone? And if they're telling you that you have too much testosterone in your body, what does your work schedule look like? Are you everyone's person? Are you doing everything for everyone? Are you extremely exhausted? Is there no one supporting you? See, because that's what happens. They built 9 to 5 models around testosterone. This is why women get sick after being in misaligned environments for too long. Working too hard. Too much testosterone. You the man in the relationship, you the man at the job. Not good for your body. Gonna break your body down. Let me tell you what else they did. They designed calendars that reset daily and not monthly. See, men have a 24-hour cycle. Their circadian rhythm, sun clock, is a 24-hour rhythm. They built schedules and calendars based on that. They were not thinking about you. They were not thinking about us. Except for in the aspect of property and ownership. But not as far as considering us. Even when they were bringing us into the workforce, they still didn't tell us what's up. Okay? They still ain't tell us. This is absolutely what I want to teach myself and women to do. You mentor, absolutely. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but yes, I do. Link in the bio. Here's another thing that they did and they taught. Okay? So instead of teaching your power windows on how you can be powerful, because if you were too powerful, they couldn't control you, they built the 9 to 5 models around testosterone. They designed calendars with that reset daily and not monthly. Okay? They medicalized your cycle. They medicalized your cycle. What is the first thing they tell you as soon as you get cramps? Go ahead and take some what? They created a whole pill. Specifically, most women are always going to go for like Midol. It's a whole pill that you can go and take to do this. Oh, take this, it's going to relieve your cramps. It's going to pacify the symptoms and not deal with the issue. You need to deal with the issue of why you are cramping so hard. Why is your liver fighting? See, now we need to start talking. See, because if something is wrong with your moon clock, i.e. your cycle, then something is wrong with your sun clock, i.e. your organs, i.e. your liver is the supplier of nourishing blood in the body, supplies it to your eyes. This is why when you have people who have type 2 diabetes and they start to go blind, it is the liver that is now being attacked. Okay? The liver has over 300 functions in the body. And anger cripples the liver. Did you know that? Holding on to anger, giving anger a footstool, which is what the Most High told you in Scripture not to do, ruins your liver. Makes your periods harder. Makes it harder for your body to do what it needs to do because your sun clock is not off. If one organ is off, you don't think the other ones are off? They medicalize your cycle. How can I say this? They pathologized your softness. Oh, you're just going to be moody. You're just PMSing. You have these mood swings and different things. All this stuff that's not even real. I need you to start paying attention. See, let me tell you something, baby. If you always want to know the truth, you need to follow the money. Follow the money. If you ever want to know the truth about the origin of something, if you ever want to know what's going on, follow the money. We got a pain pill, Midol. We have a diagnosis of PMS. We have all of these things. Not to mention that they taught you that extracting your energy for productivity was Q, which is why everybody works like a dog, and then blaming you for collapse. You should practice more self-care. You should take more care of yourself. You should take more care of yourself. I mean, I know you're working hard, but you should take more care of yourself. I know that we won't give you any time off, but you should take care of yourself. Do not care about you. They do not care about you. You're not exhausted because you are weak. You're exhausted because you're being extracted. You're being extracted. Society is extracting from you. The corporate system is extracting from you. Men are extracting from you. Other women are extracting from you. You live in a parasitic society. This is why the Most High told you your body was a temple, and told you to guard your gates and guard your heart, and told you to love yourself. You understand? Because to count on, to rely, to depend, or to expect other people to put you in the top position of care over themselves is insanity. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Do not put your spiritual health, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health solely in the hands of another human being. I don't care what their title is. Nobody should know your body better than you. You should be asking questions. You should be researching. You shouldn't just be leaning to your own understanding. It's not making no sense. Every system, from the corporate system, societal systems, patriarchal systems, everything has studied your rhythm as a woman. They have studied us. Do you understand that? They continue to study us. And they use it against you. Much like how a lot of Christians get ate up by atheists because the Christians don't know the scripture like the atheist does, because the atheist has read the whole Bible and decided that they don't want it. You claiming to live by it, but you don't know it. And they cooking you. They using your own word against you. Society is using your own energy against you because you don't know yourself. Because you don't know yourself. You know how dangerous that is? You know how dangerous it is to not imagine the richest queen in the world landing in the most dangerous hood in the world, and she just walking around there. She just walking around there like she not a queen. Like she can't be held for ransom and they can get a big bag for her. She just walking around because she doesn't understand her value. She doesn't understand her value, so she's walking around positioning herself to be prey. That's what a lot of women are doing right now. You are positioning yourself to be prey because you don't know your value. You don't know yourself. You get used up by society. You get used up by corporate. You get used up by men because you don't know your value. You're not in tune with self. You don't know what time it is. And because you don't know what time it is with yourself, you don't know when time is up with these men. That's why you keep them in your space like that. Thank you, my love. Hi, lovey. Because that's why you keep them in your space like that. You don't know when time is up. You waiting on somebody that if he don't want to do this no more, he could just tell me. Why somebody got to tell you they don't want you when they showing you? It's giving low self-esteem. It's giving you don't know your value. It's giving you don't understand your worth. It's giving that you want an excuse for somebody to say and leave you alone so you can have the gumption to go do something different because you're too afraid to light the match yourself. That's what it says. That's what it's giving. And this is what we have to really pay attention to. Like I said, every single system has studied you, baby. Why do you think that they have dug up all of the damn female trees? The trees that, why do you think it's so much pollen every spring? It wasn't nowhere near as much pollen in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid. It wasn't nowhere near this much pollen. Why is it so much pollen? Because they dug up the female trees. Why did they dig up the female trees? Because the female trees would deliver fruit. And we don't want people to just be able to access abundance, even though it's their birthright. See, these people been stealing and studying. Oh, it's the female trees? Let's get them all up so now we can control things. Throwing the whole earth out of balance. Earth is feminine, beloved. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. They've been destroying the feminine for a long time now. And I think it's time before we go into the, especially if you live in the U.S., I think it's time that women wake up to themselves and their 2 clocks before the 250th year of this country. Because I will say this and I ain't saying nothing else about it after this. There has not been a nation that has gotten past 250 years without something massive happening. Pay attention. The war is spiritual and it's psychological. Pay attention. The goal is to tire you out, and the quickest way to tire a woman out is for a woman to not be in tune with her 2 clocks. Because why? You don't know you. Y'all so scared to study anything. You don't study scripture, and then you don't study other elements of your adversary, and you can't even recognize when they doing sorcery in your face. You can't even recognize when they playing on your top. All these women having womb issues and fiber. You think that's a coincidence? You can't be for real. You can't be that naive. It's not a coincidence that this real heavy with the millennial generation. It's not a coincidence. These are the things that you have to start paying attention to. It's also not a coincidence that the millennial generation is like the most educated generation, but also the most skeptical. It's a generation that needs the most mindset work to make shifts because we feel like we've been lied to and tricked all our lives. So we don't be knowing what to believe. But you better believe the truth about yourself. Everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. Even if you're not a believer like myself, go check the science for yourself. You've got to understand how you operate as a woman because it matters. They are playing on your top. So like I said, each system, every single system has studied the feminine rhythm and has used it against us, from digging up the female trees to secretly making us infertile, testing on us. We've been under attack for a very, 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 very long time, and nobody is coming to save us, and that's what we have to understand. So we have to step into the energy of saving ourselves. How do you save yourself? You guard your heart above everything else because from it flows life. We do not give love in spaces where it's not appreciated. You are to understand that your love is like a life support plug. And when it's not being valued, you pull the plug. And when you pull the plug, it's dead. We don't plug it back up. You guard your heart above everything else because from it flows life. Because if you don't, it's a high chance. You put yourself in a higher percentage of dying from broken heart syndrome. Because how many hits you think you could take to the heart before you out? How else do I, protect myself? Well, you guard your gaze. You don't take in anything in your eyes. You don't take in everything in your ears. You don't take everything in your womb. See, when someone comes to you and says something to you, you need to be so sure of yourself that you can identify a lie. A lot of you can't identify lies from truth because you come into spiritual agreement with lies about yourself. For someone to call you ugly and for you to believe it is is ridiculous, and it's a violation of spiritual law and a lack of spiritual understanding. Because if you understood spiritually that you were beautifully and wonderfully made, you would understand that all the Most High's creations are beautifully and wonderfully made. Those who do not recognize that they are beautifully and wonderfully made are ugly to themselves, so therefore they can only critique you based on the frequency that they are, which is ugly. So why would you listen to someone who does not know themselves and take that in as truth and allow your self-esteem to take a hit? They don't even know who the hell they are. Why are you listening to them? Because you're not sure of yourself. And somewhere along the line, somebody did tell you that you were ugly, and you did come into agreement with that, so you believe that. So that's why you take it in as truth. But let's go ahead and get back into this. Every system has studied your rhythm and used it against you as a woman. They knew when you were most likely to say yes, which is kind of like the mid-cycle. They knew when you were least resourced to negotiate, kind of like late neutral. See, and then some of y'all got the nerve to get on this app and tell men the cheat code about how we operate. Because I need him to know when I'm feeling down so he can take care of me. The way a lot of you will make yourself pray is insane. The way a lot of you will make yourself pray is insane. That is not for them. This is for you to understand yourself. Now, if you want to give a warning, hey, this week I may be a little bit more emotional, that's fine. But giving somebody the keys to your clock, and so they know what time it is with you when you don't even know what time it is with you, is crazy. It makes no sense. I'm trying to figure out how you're going to benefit. Because the only time during that cycle that he really could support you would be during the time of you releasing. And you can make a list of things you need during the release. Why do you need to release the formula and how you work? See, this is how people tap into your psyche and start playing with your mind. And you give them the cheat code to go ahead and do that. Why? Makes absolutely no sense. Stop positioning yourself to be prey. You don't know people. You do not know people. Y'all getting with people, linking with them, giving them your location, letting them know when you in Lutu, letting them... Why? Why are you doing that? Are you even in the full in tune with yourself before you pass off your clock to somebody? You didn't even know you had a second clock. Don't piss me off. But you want to tell him when you on your... Girl, grow up. Grow up. They knew when you were open, magnetic, and vulnerable. See, one thing about men that I respect, men are good at pattern recognition. This is why they tell you how you let a man treat you in the beginning is how he's going to treat you towards the end, because he's only going to go by the pattern that it has been set for him. So if you pattern, and so he going to pick up your pattern and what's necessary for you, and that's going to be that on that. And if his feelings change about you at any moment and he decide he want to play on that, guess what? He got the keys to you. That is crazy. That is crazy. So like I said, they knew when you were most likely to say yes. They knew when you were least resourced to negotiate. And they knew when you were going to be open and magnetic and vulnerable. And instead of protecting that, instead of society protecting that, instead of these systems protecting that, instead of predatory men protecting that, what ended up happening is that they marketed it. They harvested it from you. They scheduled you according to their survival and trained you to ignore your sacred timing. They got you to work through one of the most sacred periods of the month for you, of your clock, that's going to set the tone for the next 3 phases of how you gain weight, how you lose weight, what happens with your body, all of these things. They knew it. Good afternoon, Lovey. They knew. But you didn't know. Here's a truth that you need to understand as well. The Most High didn't put you on a man-made clock. Hello. You have a sun and moon clock. The Most High didn't put you on a man-made clock. That's why it doesn't work for you. He built in your body divine timing. This is why it's important, like I said, to be in tune with your sun clock and your moon clock so you always know what time it is with you. You always know if this is the appropriate time for me to have this conversation, or am I too emotional right now to have this conversation? Is this the appropriate time for me to go out and sell and launch this product because I'm going to be in the full energy to be able to give the delivery? Is this the best time for me to, say what's on my mind even though I'm feeling kind of this way? See, you always know what time it is with you. And guess what? It raises your frequency in the area of self-control. And a woman who has self-control can control anything in any environment. Get into it. A woman who has self-control can control anything around her and the environment because she is the thermostat. She's not a thermometer. Her temperature don't change depending on who walks in. She sets the tone. The woman that walks into the room where everyone is standing around and everyone is talking, but then she walks in and looks and everyone stops to look at her and she has not said a word, that is being a thermostat. That is understanding the fullness of your energy as a woman. That is how you command a room, beloved. Hi, lovey. So these are the things that we need to consider and we need to think about. Okay? I don't think I understand the question exactly. You might have to rephrase. Sorry for Yeah, you got to explain that because I'm not grasping it. But let me tell you, you were designed in cycles. Bring it back to me towards the end. You were designed in cycles. Hey, lovey, in spirals. Okay? In sacred return. Seed, pay attention to this formula because this is how we are as women. Seed, surge, sustain, surrender. Somebody put that in the comments. Seed, surge, sustain, surrender. That's the 4 words, the 4 S words that I can tell you that really, really can support you in understanding how your body works. If you notice, you have a time where you're like, okay, you're in depth, you're planting, you're in the seed where you get this surge of energy. You're in a season where you feel like you need to sustain your energy, you need to pull back. And then you're in a season where you feel like you need to fully surrender because there's not much that you can do. Each one of the phases of your cycle, one of those words represents that. Okay? This is not inconsistency. This is literally creation law. If you pay attention to yourself during the month, you'll be able to grasp it. And I want you to understand this and just kind of imagine if you were able to wake up knowing that, thank you, my love, for these gifts, when your voice is the most magnetic, when your body is the most powerful, when to rest, when to launch, when to hide, when to seduce, when to lead. Okay? When to hold space. And when to shut the door. Okay? I'm not going to say that. I'll just say this. Your fog in your mind isn't a failure. Okay? It's a phase. It's a phase. Your bleed isn't your weakness. It's a womb-based audit. If you're not bleeding, that's an audit. It's saying something. You need to pay attention. Okay? I want you to be in a space where you're able to stop scheduling over your softness. Stop obeying your burnout because it's not your master. And stop apologizing for your body's boundaries when you need a break. You can literally become the woman who understands how to build in a space while she's releasing and while she's bleeding. How to lead with her rhythm. How to move with divine timing. How to work from the hormone aligned clarity. How to protect your power windows. Okay? Like it's holy ground, because it is. When you're in that experience of releasing, that's the holy time. It truly is. That's why women in scripture would be in solitude. It's a time of releasing and receiving. And feminine women, and I've been saying this for 3 years since I've been on this app, feminine women should be able to release, receive, and reject. You should be able to do that spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. If you're not releasing, even go physically in the body. If you're not going to the bathroom and releasing, right, that means that you got a bunch of waste that's sitting. That means that you're not receiving the nutrients you need to receive. That means that your body's not rejecting, it's storing. You're going to be positioned for dis-ease, illness. Okay? Feminine women have to be able to release, receive, and reject. You got to be able to receive what's yours, reject that does not align. Okay? Release the things that don't belong. So I need you to really pay attention to that. I know I talked about how I'm going to do a masterclass on the sun clock and the moon clock. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's going to be on the 16th. Okay? It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is the only masterclass that I'm having for the quarter. Okay? I had my last masterclass last month, which was the Finish What You Start, the physics of feminine follow-through for women who struggle to follow through, who don't understand the physics within themselves so they can execute. Now I'm getting into the sun and moon clock because y'all need to go into 2026 in rhythm. Because if you don't, 2026 is going to wreck you. It's a lot of stuff that's coming. A lot more surveillance. You think, I can't say what I want to say, but you think it's something right now. You just hold tight. You just hold tight. The world you knew is completely gone. And if you don't know nothing, you need to know yourself. Because if you know yourself, you will know how to move. Okay? So, this is what I created. I created the Rhythmic Woman. This is not a class, okay? This is a regular class. This is a biological blueprint, rebirth for you. So in this live masterclass, this is what you're going to learn. You're going to learn your 2 clocks, your sun clock and your moon clock. You're going to learn how to lead your life, your business, your rest, and your nourishment by your sacred pattern. You need to know your pattern. They're going to play all kind of mind tricks and games. You need to know your pattern so you can hear. Okay? You have creative and witty inventions in your very being. If you don't clear out the things that are not necessary, you will not be able to activate and access those things. It's very important that you are in tune and that you always know what time it is with yourself as a woman, so you will know how to move within the next 4 years. It's going to be a hard 4. It don't even matter really where you're going to be, but especially if you're going to be, it's about to be a hard 4. Because there's a lot of transitions and moves that have to be made because they're on a time limit to get something done. So by all means, be in tune with yourself, okay? So you're going to learn your sun clock, you're going to learn your moon clock. You're going to get a mapped out planner template that breaks down your month, your day into hormone aligned action windows. You're going to need a power tracker to track your energy, your emotions, your cravings, your clarities, and your creativity for 30 days to decode your personal rhythm map. You're going to get replay access for 1 year, okay? And then also the first 10 women who purchase also get the Harmony in 6 creativity bundle that literally goes into extreme detail on what you need to be eating during your moon clock, what you need to be doing during your moon time, what you need to be doing to activate your creativity, just in case you want to create things for cash flow, because by the year, what is it? 2027, they said half of most of the 9-to-5s are going to be phased out. By 2032, I think it's 2032 or 2034, the stat that I was reading, it was basically saying they're going to be really like non-existent. You have creative and witty inventions in your very being. Women should be out here creating wealth. There's no reason why you can't have what you need. You do not have to settle for spaces that are symphonying your energy. You don't have to do that. And a lot of you are sitting in spaces, in relationships that are siphoning your energy from you. They calling you lazy, they saying this, they saying that, but not telling you how they taking from you because they understand how your clocks work. You got to get in tune with how your clocks work. It makes a difference. It matters. The formulas that I'm teaching in here are formulas that have supported my clients in being able to create more for themselves financially, to be able to fully live their lives the way that they need to live in. So inside the Rhythmic Woman, again, you're going to learn your sun clock 1, the science behind your daily hormone rhythms. You're going to learn how your energy, your attention, your clarity shift across the day. You're going to learn when to work, when to move, when to rest, when to leave it alone. Okay? Now, that's just your sun clock. Now, let's get into your moon clock. The moon clock is going to be your 4 hormone driven phases of your monthly power, okay? When you're going to learn when your body is built for launching versus leading versus resting. You're going to learn how to market, nourish, work out, how to create visibility and strategy based on what your cycle is actually doing every single month, okay? You're going to learn how to sync both clocks because you're going to need to do that. No more guessing, no more pushing through the fog, just hormonal precision, okay? Emotional alignment and full rhythm integrity. That is what you're going to get. It is going to be an extremely powerful class. You are only going to need to take it once and start to implement it to start seeing things in your life, okay? This class is $297. You can get it with Klarna, Firm, and Afterpay. The link is in the bio for you to be able to get access to it. This is not some form of hustle or nothing. This is your homecoming. You need to come home to your body. It's time to come home to your body. And I'm so serious. Because if y'all are counting on society to help you when they've been stealing from you, that's crazy. I wouldn't bank on it. That's just me though. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. I wouldn't bank on any likes. I truly appreciate it. For real. So click the link in the bio to get access, to get your ticket to class. Like I said, the first 10 women are going to get this class, and they're going to get immediate access to Harmony in 6, which is going to prepare you and teach you like about the depths of your moon cycle, the things that you need to be eating and how it impacts your creativity, and create the link between creativity, cash flow, and the chaos of your cycle. Like all of that you get in Harmony in 6. So that's the bonus for this first 10 women that purchase tickets to the masterclass. I think that I don't want to put a cap on it because a lot of people have been asking me for this class. So as of right now, it's like I said, it's going to be 10/16 at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can click the link in the bio. You're going to get your email later today with your information so you can log into Harmony in 6 and get immediate access. And then you'll get information about the class on the 16th, probably about 48 hours before class, because it's not a lot that you're going to have to do. I want you to really spend that time working in Harmony in 6, especially for those who get the first 10 tickets. So, yeah. I'm really excited about this. This is going to be really great. Y'all have been asking me for this for a minute, and truthfully, you need to know. And hopefully you realize the truth. Society and these systems been using you as an experiment and taxing on your soul to meet their goals to get what they need done. Harmony in 6 is basically it's like a 6-week program, but you have access right then and there, and it's going to support you in going into the depths of your moon cycle. Talking about what you need to eat, how your moon cycle is linked to your creativity, how your cash flow is linked to that creativity, and the chaos of your menstrual cycle. It talks about psychocentric leadership that teaches you how to lead and operate according to your cycle, and so much more. In that course, a lot of women have gotten great results from healing like hormonal acne and a whole bunch of other things. So, and women have been able to restore their cycles during that program. So, if you get your ticket to the Sun and Moon Clock and you fall in the first 10, then you automatically will get Harmony in 6. Okay. So yeah, what questions do you guys have for me? It's $297. You can get it with Klarna, Firm, and Afterpay. The link is in the bio. Also, y'all, so I started a new Substack. I have 2 Substacks. So if you are a reader, for my reader girlies, this one is for you. Okay. So I have 2 Substacks. I have I have a Substack called the Red Knowledge Tree. Y'all, when y'all send me messages to the creator to try to work with me, y'all, I never get those messages. So just DM me, because I don't know, for some reason I can't see those. But so the Red Knowledge Tree is basically like sacred feminine teachings for the woman who like doesn't remember who she was. So it's like tapping into the spirituality aspect of it. It's tapping into the spiritual aspect of money, all your feminine sacred currencies, time, energy, attention, money, and beauty. All those different things. Everything I teach, like I said, is rooted in scripture. So it's so many things that like back it up. So you can go and sign up for the Red Knowledge Tree. The Red Knowledge Tree is where I write from the teacher perspective. Okay. So if you want the lessons, the strategy, and all that stuff, you can click the link in the bio to get access. You can be a free Substacker, or you can be a paid Substacker. The paid Substackers get more, of course. Now, that's the teacher aspect. So that's L talking. That's where I'm writing from. The Black Sanctum. The Black Sanctum is me writing from the student perspective. So the Black Sanctum is very dark feminine, very erotic, very direct, very raw, it's the raw lesson. So a lot of women ask me all the time, well, how did you get to this space of being like this? Go sign up for the Black Sanctum, because that's where I tell you how I taught men, one of the articles that I'm about to release next week is I taught men how to worship me by walking away. One of the articles that I just released yesterday that it has everybody going crazy is my daddy died and a man offered me his. And I break down how predatory some people can be, specifically men in that space, when you allow yourself to be prey and you don't set up proper boundaries. And so I talked about how men came at me when my dad died in attempts for other things, and I got real raw. So the student aspect of it is I write from Marley Monroe, which is my alter ego. It's another aspect of myself. I explain all the time, I have 3 elements to me. I am extremely structured, scriptural, spiritual, all of those things, even rigid sometimes in that space, right? And then there's the other aspect of me that is extremely wildfire, that does not care. Do you hear me? Don't care. When I say don't care, I mean don't care. Wildfire, don't care, extremely like bold, this and that. That's that side. And then there's a side of me that is very emotionally just deep. I feel everything. I have my spiritual gifts are very strong. So there's that aspect of me. The one who wrote this is the fiery one. The best way to describe it, the fiery one wrote this one. So I just created that Substack the day before yesterday. I already have like 26 subscribers, and I already had somebody to this morning pay in full $444 for the entire year to read these letters, because these letters, the Black Sanctum is not about men, but it teaches you the lessons about what happens in your interactions with men when you don't handle yourself right, or how to handle yourself. So it talks about those things. So if you are struggling to take full ownership for your dark feminine and the dark aspects of yourself and repressing yourself, and you've been taught to be the good girl and you're like, it is guiding you nowhere, you need to be subscribed to the Black Sanctum. Get your lessons from me, from L, on the red knowledge tree, so you can be clear on who you are. But get over there and read what Marley's saying on the Black Sanctum, so you can get clarity that you're not alone and that you can do something completely different if you're really about that. Okay? So, any questions? Drop your questions in the comments and I'll answer them. I'm going to take a few before I go get me some food. Yep, and both of those are in my bio. The Red Knowledge Tree and the Black Sanctum. So you get the teacher and you get the student. Don't go over here. When you listen to the first episode, because there's a voice in it, when you listen to the first episode of Welcome to the Black Sanctum, you're going to clearly know that it's me, but it's not me. It's not the me that's showing up here on live teaching the lessons. It's not the me that's writing in that. It's the student who had to learn the hard lessons. It's the one who tells and says the things out loud that nobody wants to say. It's the truth of the shadows of who you are behind all the makeup, behind all the hair, behind all these things. It's who you are when you, at nighttime, when the light's off. It's who you are when you have to look in the mirror. So these are the conversations that I'm having in the Black Sanctum. And they're not pretty. But they're powerful. And you're going to feel that. Okay? So the one, like I said, the article that I wrote yesterday, I had exes calling me like, oh my God, that was insane. I had like so many people reaching out to me about their post. So yeah, just make sure you click the link in the bio and subscribe. I'm not seeing any questions or comments at this time. Click the link in my bio to get access to any of my products and services, and then also to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which this video will be going on, okay? All right, y'all. Happy Feminine Friday. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing weekend. And y'all, please stop letting these people play in y'all face. They stealing. They stealing your energy, siphoning it, doing all that stuff because you don't know your clocks. So click the link in the bio. Like I said, first 10, they get Harmony in 6. Everybody else, you still get your ticket, but you ain't getting Harmony in 6. Okay? So I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing weekend. Peace, y'all.